working to, one, change our energy systems, and two, mitigate climate change, there is a big question of how will our interactions with the energy system change, especially as the temperatures get hotter. Temperatures are projected to rise, and that is one thing that my student, Andrew Jones, has been working on.
So my work looks at the climate change implications of rising temperatures on household electricity consumption, as well as looking at what are the equity implications of these changes, as well as will AC efficiency improvements reduce the energy inequalities experienced between non-vulnerable and vulnerable populations. So the results of our findings is that when we consider the consumption of the median households, such as the low income and the elderly households, their cooling behavior is going to increase at a higher rate than their counterpart. We also find that when we consider the racial implications, it is not as straightforward as we initially thought. So we find that for the Hispanic households in particular, their cooling consumption is going to increase at a higher rate compared to non-racial minorities. And this is happening even once we consider the housing structure differences, the decadal differences, as well as the cooling infrastructure differences. So the racial implications of these findings is that when we consider the percentage of the income being spent on the energy needs, that primarily for the low-income households, even when we consider improving AC efficiency, they're still not going to be at that 6% threshold. And so a 6% threshold is simply saying that above it, their consumption of their energy is seen as unaffordable versus below it. So the policy implications of this work is when we consider the regional standards between AC efficiency, we strongly encourage that continuation, as well as considering how can we leverage the collaborations between existing grassroots organizations, utility companies, and cities to develop similar analysis that can understand future implications of rising temperatures at the household level, as well as understanding the energy burden and how that may also change. As more households are transitioning between natural gas to electricity, it is important for us to consider not only the reductions in energy consumption and therefore carbon emissions, but also will this lead to more inequality seen in terms of energy burdens.
One of the things that I really enjoy about Andrew's work is that this can help us think through how the air conditioning usage is going to change in the future as temperatures rise. One of the challenges with our energy models is that often we assume that what people are using today is what they're going to use in the future. So when we are looking at changing our energy systems, one of the things that we need to keep in mind is that there are currently people who have air conditioners that aren't using them. And this is something that we need to keep in mind as we are working to reduce energy poverty in the future.